Paperwork can say he was hit 19 times in the chest area.
I understand everybody's sad as but hey.
From interviews, Lil Jeff's killer may seem like a calm guy, but behind closed doors, he is a completely different person. Now, reports are coming out that he was acting out of control in court, and honestly, we should have expected this from the guy who emptied an entire clip into Lil Jeff's chest. The details coming out from the courtroom are shocking, and it seems like we might be dealing with someone who is completely unpredictable. This story keeps getting crazier and crazier. To get you up to speed, Lil Jeff's killer went wild when Trap City Rob was picked up by the cops. At first, everyone thought that Rob's arrest was because of Lil Jeff's death. But according to Trench's News, Rob was actually arrested because the way he shot Lil Jeff 19 times while Jeff was already on the ground did not seem like self-defense. Instead, it looked like an act of overkill. The paperwork shows that Lil Jeff was shot 19 times in the chest, which makes it clear that Rob kept shooting after Jeff was already defenseless. Many people would call that extreme, and others might even say it is just plain crazy. Although some people believe Lil Jeff got what he deserved, Trap City Rob was already behind bars and possibly facing serious charges. At first, many thought it might be a case of self-defense. However, new information from Reddit suggested that Rob's charges had been reduced from first-degree murder to something less serious. This twist has added a whole new layer to the case, and now it looks like things are becoming even more complicated. Trap City Rob's situation took a surprising turn. He was initially arrested for the murder of Lil Jeff after a witness placed him at the scene when Lil Jeff was killed. However, after investigating, the Chicago Police Department could not prove Rob was the one who actually shot Lil Jeff. Because of this, the murder charge was dropped, and Rob was instead charged with a gun crime. A few months later, a photo of Trap City Rob leaked online, showing him in good health and high spirits. This news brought relief to his growing fanbase, who had been waiting anxiously for updates. To them, Rob wasn't just another person caught in the system. He was someone who did what they believed needed to be done. In his interviews before he was locked up, Rob made it clear that he did not feel guilty for Lil Jeff's death. He thought that Jeff had brought it on himself. Rob even said that he did not have any regrets about what happened. He felt that he had to stand up for himself and protect his own side. While many people were sad about Jeff's death, Rob believed that sometimes things like this were necessary. He said that someone had to make tough decisions to keep things in control. Trap City Rob also seemed completely unfazed by the threats from his enemies. His rival group, the Bloodhounds, were sending him death threats, but Rob didn't seem to care. He even laughed off the threats, saying, "I don't take that serious, man. I've been trying to kill me my whole life." He didn't fear these threats, just as Quando Rondo had responded to similar threats after the death of King Von. Rondo had told people to stop talking online and to take real action if they meant what they said. Rob seemed to have the same attitude. He said, "You can send all the death threats you want, but that is just words. You need to do something about it." Even though Rob acted tough, things didn't slow down. A year later, he almost got killed in a gas station shooting by his enemies. Luckily, he survived. But his cousin, LPB, was not so lucky and lost his life. These events only showed that Rob was serious about his reputation and protecting himself. Then, on June 8, 2024, another shocking event took place. Early the next morning, journalist Kyle Mazza posted sad news on his social media account. The news said that an unidentified man had been shot and killed in Chicago. Later reports confirmed that the man killed was Lil Jeff. The tragic incident took place around 5:14 p.m. on June 8, 2024. This only added more fuel to the fire between Rob and his enemies, and the tension continued to rise. On a Saturday afternoon, near the 6600 block of South Rhodes Avenue, a man named John Doe was standing near the sidewalk when gunshots struck him in the chest. The report explained that he was rushed to the hospital, but unfortunately, he was declared dead. No one had been arrested in connection to the shooting, but police found many shell casings at the scene. Soon after, CCTV footage from the area was shared online, showing the intense events that took place. The video, taken from the 6600 block of South Rhodes Avenue, showed a group of people near a house with several cars parked around them. Among the group were Lil Jeff's friends. One was in a black car, another was wearing red and later identified as Q50, and one had on a white hoodie. Meanwhile, a man in yellow shorts was seen trying to get into a car when Lil Jeff noticed him. Without wasting time, Lil Jeff jumped out of the black car and began chasing the man in yellow shorts. However, the man quickly disappeared from view as he hid behind a pillar of the house. While Lil Jeff chased him, his friends in the other car shifted their attention to a gray car and opened fire. Lil Jeff shot the man in yellow shorts once in the chest. Before he could do more, two other people suddenly appeared from an alley and began shooting back. Lil Jeff was hit, and his body was sent flying back to the ground near the porch. As he lay there, the shooters made sure he would not survive by unloading an entire magazine into him. Q50 and another friend tried to return fire, but it was too late. Lil Jeff was already dead. His friends left him behind and quickly drove off, leaving him in a pool of blood. As the video ended, scanner reports confirmed that the victim, who had been shot 15 times, was taken to the hospital by his friends. CCTV footage even showed Lil Jeff's friends carrying him from the porch where he had been shot, trying to save him. Unfortunately, their efforts were in vain, and Lil Jeff was declared dead when he arrived at the hospital. When the authorities arrived at the scene, they found 58 shell casings scattered across the pavement. Meanwhile, the man in yellow shorts, who had also been shot, arrived at the hospital with his own crew, wounded in the chest. While Trap City Rob remains confident about dealing with any retaliation from the Bloodhounds, there is one person who adds more tension to the situation: Lil Jeff's older brother, J Boogie. J Boogie had been locked up when he received the heartbreaking news of his baby brother's death just months before his release. Before the tragedy, J Boogie and Lil Jeff had not been on good terms. In a leaked email, J Boogie shared his frustration about his younger brother's choices and the way he was living. He felt that Lil Jeff was losing himself and becoming someone he no longer recognized. J Boogie even mentioned that it felt like he didn't have a brother anymore, as Lil Jeff seemed to think he was better than him.
I understand everybody's sad, but hey, somebody gotta be sad at the end of the day. We need to get this.
Sadly, Lil Jeff was killed before they could make things right. Now, J Boogie is left dealing with the loss of his brother. What makes it even more complicated is the pressure from people on the internet, urging him to take revenge for his brother's death. The internet can be a cruel place, with strangers encouraging him to destroy his life for their own entertainment. For J Boogie, it is no longer just about his personal grief. It is about the dangerous influence of online voices pushing him toward a path of violence that would only lead to more pain. J Boogie is in a really tough situation right now. Just a few days before his little brother, Lil Jeff, was killed, J Boogie told his friends that if anything ever happened to him, they should take revenge. This is part of the street code. J Boogie felt like he had no choice but to take action for his brother's death. The problem is, the people who killed Lil Jeff used to be his friends. He never had any issues with them before, which makes everything more complicated. Even Lil Jeff's enemies, the Trap City crew, were confused by the situation. They didn't have any problems with J Boogie, but they understood the street rules. In a vlog, OTF Black and Trap City's Taro and Rob talked about how J Boogie grew up with the Black Disciples and had ties to Trap City. OTF Black found it crazy that J Boogie was now in this mess, where the street rules were pushing him to act, even though his past with these people was complicated. Trap City Rob also said that J Boogie still claimed Trap City, even though his crew had connections with the Bloods. They said that, no matter what, J Boogie and the Trap City crew were like family. When J Boogie found out he was coming home early from jail, just a few months after his brother's death, everyone wanted to know where his loyalty would lie. Would he stand by the Bloodhounds, the group he had been part of since its start, or would he return to his childhood friends from Trap City? As the saying goes, blood is thicker than water, and when J Boogie came home, he quickly showed who he was with. On his first day back, he went live on Instagram, doing the usual bloodhound activities, and even doing drugs on camera with Q50. It was clear right away that J Boogie was still loyal to the Bloodhounds. In his first interview after getting out of jail, J Boogie talked about how close he was to Q50. Q50 had not only been a close friend to Lil Jeff, but also been there when Lil Jeff passed away. J Boogie admitted that he and Q50 were tight, and this only made the pressure to get revenge for Lil Jeff's death stronger. The pressure was coming from his fellow Bloodhounds and fans, but it might have also been coming from inside J Boogie. He may have felt like he had to take action. What most people don't know is that J Boogie might secretly blame himself for his brother's death. In an interview with DJ UTV, J Boogie admitted that he got involved in street life at just 13 years old. He said he started making bad choices early and introduced his little brother to the streets. This is something that may be weighing heavily on him. J Boogie might feel like he helped lead Lil Jeff down a dangerous path, and that guilt is eating him up inside. It is painful to think that J Boogie, now dealing with the loss of his brother, might also feel responsible for bringing his brother into the same world that ultimately took his life. The pressure to take revenge, to do something in his brother's honor, is growing stronger. But deep down, J Boogie has to face the truth that his actions played a role in his brother ending up in that life. It is a heavy burden for anyone to carry, especially when the lines between loyalty, guilt, and revenge are so unclear. At 18, J Boogie talked about how he first got involved in street life. He said that it was his older brother who introduced him to that world. His younger brother, Lil Jeff, followed him into the streets. Jeff started hanging out with people like Vert and Q50, who were deep into drugs. Q50 even posted on Instagram, bragging that he spent more than $500 a day on perks. Vert also said in an interview that he spent around $400 every day on drugs. Vert had gotten so bad that he would often be high or asleep during some interviews. The street life had taken a heavy toll on them all.
Like, you don't be getting death threats. That's why I was asking. You didn't even get a chance to even ask that shit.
The rideshare driver had to stop at a traffic light because two cars were passing through the intersection. He could not move right away. When he turned around, he saw something heartbreaking. Lil was no longer moving. What made this even more shocking was that Lil's family was working to stop violence in Chicago. His father was an executive assistant at Project Hood, a group that tried to make the city safer. His brother also worked there as a youth manager. They were helping others stay out of trouble, but in the end, violence still found them. Lil Jeff did not ignore what happened. Instead, he made fun of it. He went online and mocked Lil's death, even acting out how it happened. He was always known for trolling his enemies, but this time, he took it even further. He did not only go after rival gang members, he had no problem targeting women too. One of the most shocking moments in the Chicago drill scene was the murder of two well-known people, 25-year-old Desire McGee, also known as D-Money, and 19-year-old Lil Deuce. This was not just another gang shooting. This one felt personal. Soon, people started talking, and one name kept coming up, Lil Jeff. He did not even try to hide it. He wanted everyone to know. It all happened in the early hours of November 1st, 2023. Lil Deuce and D-Money were sitting in a parked car on South Dorchester Avenue. It was supposed to be just another night for them. But in the blink of an eye, everything changed. A witness later said that two people walked up to the car quietly. Before the victims could react, gunshots filled the air. Bullets ripped through the car, and the shooters ran away into the night. Lil Deuce was shot many times in the chest. Paramedics rushed him to the hospital, but there was nothing they could do. He was already gone. D-Money was shot in the torso. She fought to stay alive, but soon after, she also passed away. Right after the news spread, Lil Jeff went straight to social media. He posted strange messages, and many people believed he was taking credit for what happened. He used hat emojis, which gang members often use to count how many people they have killed. One of the hats looked like a woman's, making people think he was talking about D-Money. This was not the first time Lil Jeff used symbols to brag about killings, and it would not be the last. Not long after, two high school students became his next alleged victims. Lil Jeff had been posting the number 2 all over his social media, and soon, people realized why. On January 26, 2024, 2 teenagers, Robert Boston, known as Lil Rob, and Montero Williams, known as Monty, were shot near their school. It was a normal afternoon at Innovations High School in downtown Chicago. Students were finishing their classes and stepping outside for their lunch break. The streets were busy with teenagers chatting, laughing, and heading to nearby food spots. Everything seemed calm, but that peace did not last long. Out of nowhere, 2 cars came speeding down the street, heading straight toward the Washington train station. The way they moved was unusual. It was clear something was wrong. Within moments, the cars screeched to a stop, and before anyone could react, the doors flew open. Several masked men jumped out, dressed in dark clothing. Their movements were quick, their intentions clear. The students who were standing nearby barely had time to understand what was happening before the gunmen raised their weapons and started firing. Loud gunshots echoed through the street, shattering the peaceful afternoon. Their targets were 2 young men, Monty and Lil Rob. The attackers had come for them specifically, and they did not hesitate. The gunmen fired shot after shot, making sure their victims had no chance to escape. Students who had been standing close by ran in different directions, some screaming, others ducking behind cars or buildings, desperate to get out of the line of fire. The attack was over as quickly as it began. Within seconds, the masked shooters jumped back into their cars. Tires screeched against the pavement as they sped away, disappearing down the road before anyone could stop them. The street, which had been full of life just moments ago, was now silent, except for the sound of terrified voices and sirens approaching in the distance. Monty and Lil Rob lay on the ground, bleeding badly. Some students rushed over to check on them, but there was little they could do. Someone had already called for help, and soon, the sound of ambulance sirens grew louder. Paramedics arrived in a hurry, pushing through the shocked crowd. They quickly examined the 2 victims before carefully lifting them onto stretchers and rushing them to the hospital. For a brief moment, there was hope. Maybe the doctors could save them. Maybe they would make it. But deep down, many of the students who had witnessed the shooting already knew the truth. The gunmen had been too close, the shots too many. Not long after reaching the hospital, doctors confirmed what everyone had feared. Monty and Lil Rob did not survive. The news spread fast. Friends, family, and classmates were in shock. It was heartbreaking to know that 2 young lives had been taken so suddenly, right outside their school, in broad daylight. What was supposed to be just another lunch break had turned into a tragedy that would leave a lasting impact on everyone who witnessed it. The streets of Chicago had seen many shootings before, but this one felt different. This was not just another random act of violence. This was a targeted attack, a message sent in blood. Lil Jeff did not stay quiet. He went online and made sure people knew what happened. He posted cryptic messages like, "Things happen, and you all know this by now." He kept bringing up the number 2 in his posts, making it clear that he was counting his victims. He even got a new tattoo, 10 teardrops, with 2 of them connected. Internet detectives believed it meant he had taken 2 lives in the same shooting. In another post, he used hat emojis again, but this time, he included 2 graduation hats. Many thought this was his way of hinting that he had killed the 2 high school students. Lil Jeff showed no remorse. To him, this was just another day in the dangerous game he was playing. In his world, only the most ruthless survived. But when his own time came, not many people felt sorry for him. His alleged killer, Trap City Rob, now has a lot of support, and many people are asking why he is still behind bars. The violence in Chicago never stops. Every revenge killing leads to another, and the cycle continues with no end in sight.